Y'all heard the intro music. We're back. We're live. Welcome to this week's Indycar Pre Ims Gp. Let's make sure we got the screen right, ready to go. We're right there. We're live. We're ready to go. Welcome to this week's episode of Indycarper. Getting ready, getting hyped up for the month of May. But before we go to the Indy 500, we do got the IMS Sonaso Grand Prix coming up this weekend. We're going to talk about that, the Indy Next Championship, because the Indy Next does have a doubleheader this weekend, as well as a few news stories. And last but not least, we're going to keep talking about beating that dead horse, which is IndyCar's marketing. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome in. I'm your host, Hunter, also known as Casey Racing, your residential IndyCar armchair analyst. And let's go ahead and dive in, shall we? First off, we got four off week news stories. The first two we're in. I'm gonna make it brief, quick, which is Andretti F1 important update and Enable Motorsports backing out of this year's 500. The two stories I really want to focus on is both the Deo Porcher news and the Penske pipe bomb that dropped earlier this week. Let's go ahead and make it quick. Andretti F1, you got all I'm saying is you got 12 members of Congress signing wanting the House Judiciary Committee to look at Andretti F1's rejection. I'm not gonna get political. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. I'm just gonna make this brief. If F1 says they're unserious or they're not a contender, this should make them serious. They got freaking Congress wanting to investigate why they got rejected. Just gonna say this much: F1's full of crap. If you're saying that they're not serious, that just proves that they are. If you got Congress wanting to investigate, proving because Liberty Media is a U.S. company, so if you got a Congress wanting to investigate, that just proves they're serious about wanting to go forward. Able Motorsports backing out of Indy 500. Basically, what we had 34 cars for 33 spots. We'll talk about bump day here next week or the following week. Basically, what it sounded like is Able Motorsports had an engine but not a chassis ready, but RC Anderson had a chassis. What it was is at Barber, they said that they were giving RC Anderson another week to try to find funding. He wasn't able to come up with funding. They talked about even putting Jacob Abel into the car for the Indy 500, but Bill Abel, Big Bill, said he didn't want to put his son in the car since he's focused on Indy Next Championship because him and Nolan Ziegler were ranking on the type battle for the Indy Next Championship. There is a general idea that they may come back and run some point this year, maybe do a one off or two. There's always the possibility they come back in 2025 for the 500. Able Motorsports is a strong Indy Next team. We'll speak about that later on. But yeah, Able Motorsports not going to be in the 500. 34 cars, 33 spots. We'll talk about bump day, who my prediction is to get bumped later on. And then we had the Penske pipe bomb drop this weekend. More St. Pete investigation. It's that gift that keeps on giving. Roger Penske suspended multiple members, including team president Tim Cindric, also Joseph Newgard's race strategist, Ron Rosinski, managing director, engineer Luke Mason, and assistant engineer Robbie Atkinson. They're all suspended the next two races because of the St. Pete stuff. Basically, they're not allowed to compete in month of May for Penske. I'm just gonna say this is this ain't IndyCar. This is straight Roger doing an investigation. Roger didn't like what happened. It was bringing him in the negative light. So he was like, "Look, y'all are the ones that are responsible. Get out." So they're not here with month May. We'll see him back at Detroit. And I'm gonna sound like a little bit of a hole, but when Tim Cindric's coming out and saying, "Oh, you think we got some sort of advantage from having an extra push to pass and the push to pass button working, gaslighting everyone," I think he kind of deserves it. Sorry, not sorry. Big news officially announced about an hour or two ago. Old Teo Porcher is going to complete the season with Air McLaren, except for the 8,500 Callum Island supposedly dropping the car. All I'm going to say, I hope Teo Porcher runs well. We saw it at Long Beach where he went from 22nd to 11th. He loves IndyCar. Basically, they're giving him, they might be giving, the rumor I saw is he's doing the rest of the season outside of 8,500. He's foregoing Super Formula Championship, which all power to him. He wants to run the full remaining IndyCar season. Basically, the rumor I saw is they might be getting a long term deal with Aaron McLaren, but I think this is just going to be a proving ground. And he's getting a long term deal with the exception if Sauber wants to pull him out. Sauber wants to pull him out and let him go to F1. That's fine. They're going to give them the option to do that. I hope Taylor Porcher outperforms. He does super well. He loves IndyCar. He seems to love it. He's running the rest of the year. But just a reminder, if he doesn't perform well, he might be the next member of, of the McLaren IndyCar graveyard. That's enough about the news. Yep, I put a little picture of CM Punk doing a pipe bomb because we had a Penske pipe bomb drop this week. But anyway, that's going to cover most of the news outside of IndyCar marketing. I'm going to talk about that towards the end of the show. But before we do that, we got to talk about the Indy Next coming up. And when we talk about Indy Next from now on, we're going to have a C4 energy drink. I'm going to pop that open. C4 energy drink. They sponsored Lindsey Brewer and the Indy Next series. So they're sponsoring the Indy Next driver. I'm going to support them. Yeah. Indy Next and IndyCar both had a week off. We're going to look at the point standings beforehand. Talk about that. Let's go ahead and look at the point standings just just a recap. Let's go ahead and load that up. Indy Next point standings, as you recall, Nolan Teal, Jacob Abel tied at the top with 90, tied at the top of the point standings because Nolan won St. Pete, Abel finished second, and in reverse, Abel won Barber, Nolan Siegel finished second. This weekend's really a chance for one of them two to get the early advantage. Third place is Louis Foster, great. We saw him last week at Barber go from the back to finish in fifth. Cal Collette, fourth place. Michael D'Orlando, which great news to announce. Michael D'Orlando will be running the doubleheader this weekend, but once again, it's still week by week for where he goes. But he'll at least be back for the doubleheader. Hopefully, he have a good run. He's solidly fifth in the point standings, tied for fourth with Cal Collette. Miles Rose currently sixth, Reese Gold seventh, James Rowe is in eighth, Jonathan Brown ninth, and then Salvador De Alba rounds out the top 10 of the Indy Next point standings. And there's a race within the race for the point standings. You got the Delar Simulator Championship. I'm gonna make this brief. I had to look up what it was. Basically, the top three drivers get a half day in the Delar simulators if they win the championship because they do two rounds. The first half stops at Road America. Second half runs the rest of the year. Basically, if you're top three, you get half a day in the Delar simulator, and then if you win and then basically here's what happens: if you're top three in the Delar Simulator Championship, you get half a day in the Delar simulators in round one. Round two, you get another half day if you're top three, and if you win the championship, you get a full day. So max out if you're top three in all. If you're top three in all the championships and somehow win the next championship, you're gonna get 2 days in the Delar simulator. Which, when it comes to driver development, simulator time with the chassis, that's super important. Just a reminder, as I said before, Indy Next race up. We're at IMS for the we got the Indianapolis Grand Prix doubleheader this weekend for the Indy Next series. May 10th, which is tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and May 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern. You got the Firestone Indy Next Indianapolis doubleheader. Big chance for either Nolan Siegel or Nolan Siegel, Jacob Abel, or someone else that's back in the point standings to either make a mark or get that early advantage in the point standings. Two races, double points. We'll see what happens. Both races, May 10th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, May 11th, 1 p.m. Eastern. Both races are always streamed on Peacock. That covers our Indy Next segment of the show. Once again, when we talk about Indy Next, we got the C4 Energy Drink. They're sponsoring Lindsey Brewer and Indy Next Series. So if you're sponsoring a driver in the Indy Next Series, I'm going to support you. Now that we're done talking about the Indy Next Series, we got to go into the big series, the IndyCar. We're at the IMS Road Course this weekend. This is what I'd say is a little bit of the appetizer before the big race, which is the Indy 500. This is our little appetizer. You know, when you go to a restaurant and you want a steak, you get your, you're at Texas Roadhouse and you're getting yourself a steak. You're getting yourself a steak. The IMS Road Course is more or less like the rolls or the cactus blossom there. Basically, this is our little appetizer before we go to the big race, which is the Indy 500. There used to be two races at the IMS Road Course, but they stopped doing that after last year. We're, in, we're at IMS Road Course. Let's look at the point standings just as a recap. Recapping the current point standings. Colton Herta right now slightly in the points lead because he has two after the St. Pete DQs. He has two podiums and he finished eighth at Barber. Will Power currently in second, 1 point behind. He was the one least affected by the shakeup with St. Pete. Third place currently Alex Floyd, the defending champion. Fourth place the greatest of all time, greatest of our generation, Scott Dixon. Felix Rosenquist still doing solidly his first year in Meyershank, solidly top five, fifth in the point standings. Pato Award didn't have a great run at Barber. He's still sixth. Kirkwood, seventh place in the point standings. He's been quietly good so far this year. Linus Lundqvist, the eighth car in eighth place, coming off a podium at Barber. Right now, seems to be the best rookie in the field. Might end up being the rookie of the year. Scott McLaughlin won the Barber race, moved up from being last in the point standings up to ninth. And solidly in 10th, Santino Ferrucci. He's having a great run so far this year. He's solidly 10th in the point standings. That's our quick recap of the point standings. Just a reminder, this is our little appetizer before we go to the big Indy 500. We'll do a bigger show. Probably gonna do a longer show when the Indy 500 starts. But just as a reminder, the next race up for IndyCar is the Sonoso Grand Prix at the IMS Road Course. This will be May 11th, 3 p.m. Eastern, streaming on Big NBC and Peacock. Please watch. We need the viewers. IndyCar needs the viewers. It's on Big NBC. It's on network television. This is our little appetizer before the big Indy 500. I hope y'all enjoy. Y'all watch. We got the next race up, but let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and get my winner picks for this week. The Sonso Grand Prix winner picks presented by Casey Racem. Casey Racem Sonso GP winner picks. I was gonna have a Penske car, but after the penalties, I decided to back off. So this is me kind of taking the easy way out. I picked the last two winners at the IMS Road Course of Alex Flow won this race before the Indy 500 a year ago. We had two races at the IMS Road Course last year because they were doing a doubleheader with NASCAR. Scott Dixon won the second race. Alex Flow, Scott Dixon, they're always going to be at the front. You can never count them out, especially Scott Dixon because he is a wizard when it comes to fuel saving. And for a long shot, I decided to put Graham Rahal at the IMS Road Course. RLL seems to have it figured out. Graham Rahal finished second here last year. Lundgaard finished second here in 2022. I think Graham Rahal has a long shot chance to win the race. Maybe he can find his way back in the victory lane. We'll have to see. Alex Plow and Scott Dixon were two main picks. My long shot's going to be Graham Rahal. That's enough talking about this weekend with the Sonoso Grand Prix. Y'all know near and dear. I'm going to beat that dead horse again, which is IndyCar's marketing. Because I saw a tweet that came out the other day. I'm going to keep beating this dead horse until we somehow see some results. Doug Bowles quoted summing up that the biggest problem for IndyCar 70% of their IMS fans don't. 70% of the Indy 500 attendees and fans don't watch another race of the year. I'm tired. This is gonna be spicy, Casey. Right now, here's a simple explanation. I even quote tweeted it. 70% of your fans watch Indy 500 because that's what 90% of your marketing is. 70 to 90% of your marketing is just the build up to the month of May and the Indy 500. If you're marketing 70% of your series for one third of the season, most people are only going to watch the 500 and the build up to the 500. After that, you got 2/3 of a season. People are not going to be inclined to tune in for the rest of the season if you're only hyping up the first third with the build up to the 500 and Indy 500. I posted on my X. I have ideas to market the series better. I posted a full doc and it's open to the public. But when you're only marketing, when 70% of your fan base is only watching Indy 500, it's a serious marketing problem. And sorry for calling this out. I love the Pat McAfee show. Pat McAfee's my biggest inspiration. We always end the show by saying the Pat McAfee quote: "Be a friend, tell a friend something nice might change your life." But Ty Schmidt on Pat McAfee show, when he's constantly being a negative Nancy and berating IndyCar. Hold on, I'm gonna record this. I'm gonna go ahead and start a replay buffer. But here's the thing: I'm gonna go ahead and call out Ty Schmidt. I get it. You don't like IndyCar, that's fine. But when you're constantly being a negative Nancy on one of the biggest shows on ESPN, that's going to lead to other people not even wanting to give IndyCar a chance. Basically being like, oh, this guy I like on Pat McAfee show doesn't like it, so why should I even give it a chance? But when you're only marketing 70% of your series and 30% for the 2/3 of the season, that's what's going to happen. If you're only marketing the 500 in the build up, you're not going to end up getting results in other series. Y'all need to market better. I have different ideas. I have a degree in public relations and marketing. IndyCar, please reach out. I have the ideas. Even Chase from Speed Street Podcast said they need more ovals. I agree. I think the schedule should be shortened up a little bit so you don't have month long gaps. And I think marketing needs to be more outside of just the 500 in the build up. When you're marketing only the 500 in the build up, that's what's going to happen is you're not going to get fans wanting to watch the rest of the season. Anyways, I'm done with that rant. We're going to go ahead and sign off now. As always, follow both my accounts on Twitter and X. Twitter slash at HJCarp, CARP29, and at Casey Racem, KASEYRACEM. And we're always going to finish out with the Pat McAfee quote of "Be a friend, tell a friend something nice, might change your life." Reminder: we're in IMS, we're in Indianapolis the whole month of May. Tune in for both the IndyNext and IndyCar this weekend. Always streaming on Peacock. IndyCar is going to be on Big NBC this Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. IndyNext always on Peacock. Race one's going to be tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Race two Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern, as a little pre race before the IndyCar race. Hope y'all are tuning in. We need the viewership. And before I end, I know I promised last week we got a new logo, but here's the new logo. I hope y'all saw it with the intro on the first slide. New logo for the show, Indycarper. I designed it myself. New logo. We got a little square, black square, blue circle. My two colors are light blue and the red. Indy and black font. Carper and red font. We got a little microphone. Got a little Casey Racing logo over there. Got the IndyCar, IndyCar down there, the little checkered flag. I promise we're gonna have a new logo starting month of May. I delivered on my promise. Hope y'all like the new logo. Hope y'all enjoyed this week's episode. I'm Casey Racem. I'm signing off. Just a reminder: be a friend, tell a friend something nice might change your life. I'll catch y'all next week where we're gonna go over the Indy Next doubleheader as well as the IndyCar race. Give out our Casey Racing drivers of the day next week. Hope y'all enjoyed.